Wondering what those two have meant to you and the impact overall that they've had on this program from day one.
Well, I think anybody that goes through senior day, all the seniors have impacted the place in some way, shape, or form, some more than others, and some haven't been here long enough to impact it the way that they potentially could have. But Juan and KJ are going to be the exception rather than the norm moving forward, of guys that have spent a combined 10 years in your program. And they both meant a lot. They're both part of a national championship team. They're both part of a 1 seed the next year. Obviously the last 2 years hasn't gone as scripted, but they have both gotten better and have played at a pretty consistently high level. They haven't had maybe some of the same players to play with the last couple of years as what they had some of the other years, but I'm really proud of them. They both, in their own way, had defied the odds in the manner in which they've dealt with tragedy. So total respect for both of them, both studs, and our fans got to see them both grow up right before their very eyes, and so it should mean a little bit extra to our fans too.
Doran was just talking about the growth that he's had in the program since he got here. How have you seen him grow over the last 6 years?
Well, first of all, anybody in first grade better mature by the time they get to 7th grade. Okay, so I mean, that should be a natural thing. 6 years is a long time. I would say inner confidence, dealing with adversity, becoming more responsible, more accountable. I think there's a lot of things that he's done personally through intangible type things that will be great preparation for him to have a very successful life. He has defied the odds about as much as anybody that's rolled through here. So really proud of how he's grown up and basically hasn't used negativity to be his energy. Hasn't used bitter to be his energy. He's been much bigger than that, and he sees the good in things far different, I believe, than he did when he first got here.
You mentioned that in some ways it won't be as common for players like this to stick with one team for such a long period of time. Is that challenging for you to see that as someone who's taken such pride in developing guys?
Henry, I think it's challenging. I think the reason we've won over time here is because our best talents have been our youngest players, but our foundation has always been our veterans. And the foundation is going to be different now. The foundation is going to be a 1 or 2 year guy at the most, more than likely. So I think that's going to be different, but it's different everywhere across America. It's not just different here, it's different everywhere. The portal and NIL, the way it's set up, football may be different because kids have to stay for 3 years. But the way it's set up is in basketball, it's win today, worry about tomorrow later. It's hard to say, well, we want to recruit this many freshmen, this many sophomores and whatever, and build consistency over the next 4 or 5 years. No, let's have a 12-month plan, and then when that 12 months is over, let's have another 12-month plan. And I think you're going to see teams all across America obviously do that, and you're going to see teams that are really, really peaking now have a better chance to plateau, just because it's hard to hit a home run every year. But the good thing about it is if you're not peaking and you're plateauing, it's easier to get back to the top too than it would be if you had to grind through 2 or 3 years. And so it's good and not so good. It's just a different world.
Bill, KJ just said a pretty cool quote. He said about him and Juan being interlocked, and he said, we made this place us. What does that mean to you to hear that?
First of all, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, right.
I think probably as much as anything is they unpacked their bags and they accepted the place, because the place, any place you go to is different than when you came from, where you came from. They accepted the place, and then after they accepted the place, I think the place then accepted them. That would be how I would interpret that, but I don't know positively.
Your finale, is this one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league? I mean, they only have 5 losses. They scored 110.
Yeah,
How do you look at Zona?
I think they're really talented. I think they're fast. I think Tommy's got a terrific team. You know, they got off to a rough start, and then they've been really good since they got off to that rough start. And they've lost some games in the league they could have easily won. That BYU game was an instant classic at their place. I love their personnel. I think they're really good. We picked 3 good teams to play the last 3 games. The league did us a good job on that, but you know, it's a great opportunity for us to. Obviously, Caleb is a terrific player, but he's not a one-man show by any means. They've got guys at all spots, and they've got 2 bigs that are terrific. They got 4 men that are terrific, and then athletically on the perimeter, but they're as good as anybody in the league.
Does Caleb shoot as much as anybody? Do you have to just be prepared every time he touches it?
I think you do have to be prepared of him scoring every time. I will tell you this: he's good off ball screens too, passing the ball. He's not a one-dimensional guy by any means, at least the way that we see it. But he's certainly a guy that can get his own shot pretty much when he wants to, which is rare in college basketball.
Do you respect a guy like Wilhite for battling the bigs for 3 years?
Yeah, we go from Caleb Love to Dylan Wilhite. But yes, to answer your question, Dylan's been great, and you know, he hasn't got much playing time, which he knew that coming in, but he's been great, and there's some guys in our program that will probably be glad that Dylan's a senior, because he is one strong dude, and he does a good job of laying on folks and creating space, so that he'll be missed.
Do you know where the rule stands on walk-ons?
For next year?
Yeah.
The way that I understand it, the rule stands at 15 total players, regardless of scholarships or walk-ons, 15 total. So, which is a terrible rule, because it doesn't grandfather in kids that have put 2 or 3 years of their heart and soul into a place that guarantees them a roster spot. So it's a bad rule in my opinion, but it is the rule, 15 total.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to ask about. Is it tough to see the tradition of walk-ons and not coming to an end, but it's going to dwindle so much if you can give scholarships to those guys?
Yeah. You know, and then, you know, to Henry's point, let's just use an example. There's a 7-footer out there that if he can develop at all, he may end up being a player. Would you rather have somebody like that and hope like heck you take 3 of those guys, one of them pans out, or do you take 3 guys that are Patrick and Dylan type players that would give their heart and soul to a place? It's going to be a different strategy. I still think you can have walk-ons. I don't think you need 15 scholarship guys, but the reality of it is you're going to pass out walk-on positions before you know what potentially is available out there and that kind of stuff.
Is there any way Shaq could play on?
No. He hasn't practiced. Shaq hasn't practiced in probably 3 weeks. So no, he won't play tomorrow. We're still hopeful that we can get a week out of him, you know, going in the postseason and get a week's worth of practice and maybe play limited minutes. But folks, his foot is re-injured. I mean, it's not what it was, but it is, you know, certainly painful enough that, he can't spend much time on it.
One thing I've been meaning to ask, some coach said the season isn't long enough, and I can't remember which coach said it. Is that possibly true?
Mark Pope, didn't Mark Pope say
Yes.
that, we should play 40 or 50 games? You know, I don't think that'll ever happen, because I don't know any media that'd be willing to work that hard. So my personal opinion, it really screw up you guys' job, in your life. So, I don't think I feel that way. I don't think I feel that way. But I do think this, I don't think anybody in the NBA would say that the season's too short. Maybe they would. I mean, I don't know. To me, our season, at least in our league, we're going to 18 league games next year, but our season with 20 league games and everything, that makes for a long season. So I don't know that I agree with that sentiment.
Anything else?
Thanks, Coach.